What's up, everybody? It's your boy Stevie the Black, STEVEE, the Black. I'm back, and I'm here to start. It's the beginning of a new era, or as JR once said, the Austin era has begun. So as I said, maybe a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, basically the beginning of the year, I said that I was going to start. I did not grow up in the Attitude Era, right? When I started watching wrestling, it was towards. Man, I'm trying to think. It was toward the end of Attitude Era into the Ruthless Aggression Era, but I didn't really start getting into it, like watching every week, until about the PG era. So I want to say around 2008, 2009. Really, my memory is really blurry. I really wish I could remember when I definitively started watching it. But I do know, like most everybody, my two favorites were The Rock and Stone Cold. And you can say, well, that doesn't make any sense if you started watching towards the to the Ruthless Aggression era. Well, then how could you be a fan of those two when those two were gone? Well, because my dad talked about them so much. I think he taped a couple things. Back then you had to record on your VCR, so I think he taped a couple things, had a couple of VHS tapes, and I watched those, and I just was mesmerized by those two. Plus, they were my dad's favorite, so basically at that age, you know, when you're a kid, anything your dad likes, you like too. That's how I became an Eagles fan. That's how I became a fan of Dragon Ball Z. That's how I became a fan of wrestling. Basically everything my dad liked, I liked, right? And then once I became old enough to, make decisions for myself, I just realized, whoa, I actually do like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. I do like Dragon Ball Z. I do like the Eagles, It's just because, I would test the waters, look at other people, look at other things, and it's just, I can't see myself being anything else. I think about it sometimes of, if I wasn't an Eagles fan, what kind of fan would I be? And I think maybe Giants. I don't know. Washington. Who knows? Thank God I wasn't born a Dallas Cowboy fan. But anyway, so shoot. So all I have basically were clips on YouTube or DVDs. That's how I about the Attitude Era, right? And then we get the network, and for whatever reason, it did not click to watch it until about, I want to say, 2 years ago. Well, we pretty much got the whole history of the WWE right here. Why don't I watch all of the Attitude Era since it's here now, since it's available? Because I actually started with the 2009 year, and I was watching that year. And then, because I got to 2011, then I got to 2011, right? So I watched 9, 10, all of 9, all of 10, and about halfway through 11. And then that's when I was like, maybe I should start watching the Attitude Era. I have that opportunity now. So, the idea came 2 years ago, but I procrastinate a lot. And there are times where I just don't feel like watching it. So I procrastinated, and, then I was thinking, well, I do have this YouTube channel. How do I make myself constantly watch so that way I can watch, have fun, but at the same time see all this for the very first time? Well, there's YouTube for you, So, and that's how we got where we are. So, the first pay-per-view I'm going to talk about is an infamous one. I'm sorry that took too long, but we're getting into it now. So, the first pay-per-view that I watched, or that I'm going to, not that I watched, that I'm going to start with, recording with the Austin Era is Survivor Series 1997, right? So I started this, the Attitude Era technically didn't start until Austin won the title, but Austin started getting popular after WrestleMania 13 in 1997. So I thought, okay, well, let me watch from there all the way to the SmackDown after WrestleMania 19. That's about 13. That's about a 6-year timeline, right? So that's 6 years worth of wrestling I gotta watch. And I figured, hey, since I'm watching it all for the first time and experiencing all this, why don't I, share it with you guys, since I love my audience so much. So, again, I'm sorry I'm talking so long, but I'm at Survivor Series, so let's get into it. Let me tell you my thoughts on it. And 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, Survivor Series 1997. We all know the deal. We all know what happened at 1997. The Montreal Screwjob happened, right? I'm going to get to the match and my thoughts on everything, but I'm going to go through each one and give my opinion on it. So basically how I'm going to do this is I'm watching the Raws. I'm watching the Raw after the pay-per-view, the Raw before the pay-per-view, and then the pay-per-view. So for example, how I started off with it was I started watching the Royal Rumble, then I watched the Raw after the Royal Rumble, and then I watched the Raw before the next pay-per-view. What I can't remember off the top of my head what it was. I think it was In Your House Fatal 4-Way or something like that. Because all that. Okay? So that's how I do it. I'm not watching all those Raw episodes because then it would take me even longer. I got 6 years of stuff to go through, right? So, basically, I'm going to rate the matches on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 out of 5 means it was great. 1 out of 5 or 0 out of 5, whatever, means it's terrible, and you can guess from there, right? So, the very first match on Survivor Series 1997 was Team Headbangers versus Team Godwins. The thing I noticed with this is two things. One, in today's WWE, we have 5-on-5. But back then, it was 4-on-4. And they had a referee on the outside, which I was like, okay, that's different. Another thing that I noticed in this time period is that low blows and eye pokes and stuff, that I guess was all legal at that time, Eventually, I don't know where, maybe as I keep watching, I'll notice when they started to make it like a disqualification or whatever like that. But, yeah. So we got Team Headbangers versus Team Godwins. It was the Headbangers. It was Bradshaw, and it was another guy. I can't not remember his name. I'm going to start writing these names down. It was against the Godwins and the very early stages of the New Age Outlaws, because they had just started teaming up. Basically, the Team Godwin wins. The match to me was not very interesting. It was very boring, and the way they do the eliminations are sloppy and everything, and it's just boring. I just could not get attached to it, so I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Not very interesting to me. So, the very first match of a pay-per-view is supposed to get the crowd hype and energized, and that did not do that for me. The next match, which was another Survivor Series match, it was Truth Commission versus the DOA. Truth Commission ended up winning the match. This match to me was even more boring than the opening match. I ain't know anybody in there besides DOA. I think they're pretty cool. This is basically the era of factions. You had like the DOA, you had Los Pericos, you had DX, you had the Hart Foundation, you had the Nation, the Domination. You had a bunch of teams, bro, a bunch of factions. It was a matter of fact, the subline for the pay-per-view was Game Rules, so that should tell you something right there, right? But the Truth Commission ends up winning. Again, I think this match was even more boring than the first one, so I gave it a 2 out of 5. The next one was Team Canada against Team USA. And here's the thing, right? So we all know Survivor Series takes place in Montreal, right? And so obviously the crowd is going to cheer for Team Canada. But the thing is, only one person on Team Canada was Canadian, and everyone else was was either from America, or in the British Bulldog's case, he was from England, So it's just like really weird. And then Team USA, which composed of Vader, Mark Mero, Goldust, and the debut of Steve Blackman, they were not a very good team. Goldust was in the midst of a very early heel turn, which to me was also very weird because I know he was in the storyline with Brian Pillman, but then Brian Pillman unfortunately passed away. And so then out of nowhere, they just decided to turn him heel. Like he decides to leave Marlena and their child. It's very weird to me. I'm like, wait, why are they turning this man heel? This doesn't make any sense, you know? But basically, Vader has to end up doing all the work. It gets down to him and British Bulldog. British Bulldog clocks him in the back of the head with the ring bell. But apparently no one sees it because whatever. And Team Canada ends up winning. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was pretty good. If we're talking about Survivor Series, this map type matches or 4-on-4 eliminations, whatever you want to call it, this has been the best one so far. Like, and it still wasn't that great, but you know. Then we get to the first singles match, which is Mankind versus Kane. Interesting thing about this is Kane's, you know, he debuted a month earlier at Bad Blood. We all know what happened. He breaks into the Hell in a Cell. Tombstones the Undertaker, cost him a chance at the WWE Championship. Kane's match is actually in red lighting. Like, the whole entire match takes place in red lighting. And to me, I'm just like, wow, bro, I did not know they did that with Kane because they've been doing that with The Fiend up until recently. And I'm like, man, this is so dumb. Why are they doing this? The red lights hurt my eyes and all that stuff. I know it's hurting their eyes, right? So, but other than that, I mean, the match I thought was great. This was Kane's debut match. You know, before then he had just been attacking people, so he hasn't been in a match. But Undertaker, you know, he's like, I'm not going to fight my flesh and blood. I'm not going to do it. So Paul Bearer and Kane are like, yo, until you fight us, we're going to take our wrath out on everybody. They attacked Dude Love, which brought back Mankind. And so now Mankind's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to take this guy down. And he does. And I guess it's this no disqualification match because they're hitting each other with stairs and chairs and right in front of the ref's face, and he's not calling anything. So you just, I guess, assume from that oh, this is a no disqualification match. So to me, the highlight of the match is when Mankind is giving the mandible claw to Paul Bearer, and then Kane sits up. He then goes and choke slams Mankind through the announce table, more like pushes him off, but it's still a cool thing. And he breaks the table, and I'm like, oh my God, bro, that was cool. That was crazy. Obviously, Kane wins. You know, Mankind was throwing everything at him, and it just did not matter. Kane always kept getting back up, and eventually he wins. And it was a very strong debut, very, very strong. So I'm interested to see where they go from here with this. Remember, I'm seeing all this for the first time, so it's, to me, the way they've handled Kane so far has been great. So next, we got the Nation of Domination against the Legion of Doom, Ken Shamrock, and Ahmed Johnson. And first of all, the promo before, I don't even know what the heck Animal was talking about. He was just spewing on stuff. But just the look on Ahmed's face, like he looks like he's about to kill somebody. Like he's just like, and like he's doing it way better than me. Like he looked like he's about to like legit kill somebody, right? But basically all throughout 1997, Ahmed was been feuding with the Nation. Ken Shamrock's been feuding with The Rock, and I think the Legion of Doom also, they also had their problems with the Nation as well. What else? I figured if any good team was going to win, it was going to be these guys, because up until this point, every heel team and every heel had won. So I figured if anybody was going to win, it was going to be these guys. And they end up doing it. One thing that really stood out to me during this match is people chanting Rocky sucks. And I mean, oh my God, they really, really hated Rocky. Rocky Maivia still at this time, he wasn't The Rock yet. But it was just very, I mean, he wouldn't even be wrestling and they'd be chanting Rocky sucks, bro. So another interesting thing in the match is Ahmed was holding down, he gets eliminated, right? By, not Ahmed, Farouk gets eliminated by Ahmed. And so then as he's supposed to leave and go on the back, he instead ends up tripping on Matt and holding down his foot. The referee sees this, and he can't. He's trying to get him off, but he's not strong enough. But at the same time, it's like, okay, he's holding down his foot, but you can't punish him because he's already been eliminated. But can you really punish D'Lo, or was it Rock? I can't remember who was pinning him. But it's like, who do you punish? So I don't know. But it was weird. At the end of the day, Ken Shamrock is the sole survivor for his team by making The Rock tap out to the ankle lock. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was okay. That one, I think, was a little bit better than Team Canada versus Team USA, but not by that much. Like, again, all these Survivor Series matches were pretty much trash. Next, we got the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin going up against Owen Hart for the Intercontinental Championship. We also all know the story of Stone Cold breaking his neck, or Owen breaking Stone Cold's neck he messed up the pile driver. So he was paralyzed for like a little bit, ends up winning. But because of his injury, he has to forfeit the title, right? So, Stone Cold comes out every week. He's giving people stunners. Obviously, he gave Vince the stunner. He gave JR stunner, the King stunner. He's stunning everybody, right? So Vince, who still isn't known as the owner yet, but basically they're saying it. He's basically like, look, you got an option. Either you get a doctor's note, either you come back, but you can't sue us if anything happens to you, or I fire you. So what's it going to be? Obviously, Stone Cold chose option B, which was, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do me. If I get hurt, that's on me. The match itself, it was pretty quick. I would say less than 10 minutes. I figured that's because, they just want to protect Stone Cold Steve Austin. They don't want, it's his first match back, although he's been giving people stunners. It's his first physical altercation, and they don't want to, risk anything, which is understandable. I ended up giving the match 3 out of 5 because, like I said, it was really, really quick. One stunner, like 8 minutes into the thing, and it was already over. So Owen, he was trying to get himself disqualified and counted out, but Stone Cold was not having any of that, and he wins. So now he's Intercontinental Champion again. Again, the match itself was nothing pretty, but I understand why that was. And then finally, the moment we all been waiting for. Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. 18 months in the making, as they've been saying all show. And interestingly enough, they were saying this is the last time these two are going to fight. Now, at the time, we did not know what that means. Like, what do you mean this is the last time? They were saying stuff like, Bret says if he doesn't win, he's going to leave WWE and all that stuff. We know the real thing. Bret Hart was leaving. Vince couldn't pay him, so he's like, all right, I'm out. He wanted him to drop the title to Shawn. He's like, I'm not doing it, not in Canada. And we all know what happens. So let me talk about the match. Let me talk about what happened. Let me talk about what should have happened. And then I'll give my final thoughts and grades on the show. So before the match even starts, these two are just brawling all over the place, brawling back and forth in the crowd, on top of the ramp, up near the entrance. They're brawling everywhere. I mean, you have referees everywhere. You've got Slaughter. You've got Vince. They're trying to tell them, hey, you need to stop. Get back in the ring. This isn't the way. So eventually they get in the ring. The match starts. And they're still not technically wrestling. They're still more brawling than anything. But eventually it gets to the point where, because I know what's going to happen, my heart's kind of racing, but everything that I'm seeing is still like amazing. This is the first time I've seen this match, right? So it gets to the point where, here comes the sharpshooter. He puts it in. You hear the ring the bell, and then that's it. Shawn takes the belt. He's kind of angry. I don't know if he was angry in real life, but at least acting wise, he was angry of how it went down. We see Bret spit in Vince's face, and then it cuts to black. That's it. So we didn't even see him right in the air. WCW. I don't know if that was even originally in the thing in the first place. But from what I heard, the original plan was for it to end in a DQ. Like, Road Dogg and the rest of the Hart Foundation supposed to run down, cause a disqualification. That would have been stupid too. I understand Vince's point of view. If you're gonna leave, drop the title. You can't drop it before the title because that makes no sense. So you have to drop it after. You have to drop it at the pay-per-view. That's the right thing to do, right? But like I said, Bret did not want to lose to Shawn. They legit hated each other, and that just wasn't gonna happen, right? So here's what I think they should have done. I think you have Bret beat Shawn Michaels, right? You beat him. Just flat out beat him, right? He's leaving anyway. I know when all this stuff happens, if you're leaving, you technically lose. But just hear me out here. This is where you make him happy and you don't cause a scene. You have Bret Hart beat Shawn Michaels. Then the next night, you can have him, either Bret Hart come out personally, or you can have a video package. Vince can come out with the belt in his hand, and he can say Bret Hart has left the WWE, and he left this video package. And in the video package, it could say, I've done everything in the WWE that I wanted to accomplish. The one thing I have not done was beat Shawn Michaels and avenge my loss from WrestleMania 12. But I got my win back, so I see no reason longer for me to stay in the WWF. I'm out. And here's your crummy title. I'm done. All that stuff. You could have did that. You could have then held a tournament. Shawn could have still won the title because the next pay-per-view was D-Generation X. So you could have had the tournament. You could have had Shawn win. And then you still could have had what happened with, him and Stone Cold eventually getting it on, at WrestleMania. So, I mean, you didn't have to do it that way. You could have did it this way, but egos and stuff. I don't agree with what Vince did. I understand why he did it, but that still doesn't make it right. But that's just how I would have handled that. Let me know in the comment section down below. How would have you handled this situation if you were Vince? Would you have gone with my plan? I think that plan is pretty good, but what do I know, right? So at the end of the day, that's Survivor Series 1997. At the end of the day, the pay-per-view was okay. The only good things in this pay-per-view was Mankind versus Kane, and then Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Oh, which, by the way, I gave a 5 out of 5. Mostly just because of the suspense. Like, I could feel the suspense. Maybe that's because I know what's going to happen. But even if you don't know, just the presence and the energy you're feeling from everybody and the way it's going down, it's just great. And it's amazing. And it's a big fight feel, which is how it should feel for the WWE Championship, right? Plus, because they hated each other, it might have amplified the feud and made it even better. But just everything that was going on, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I thought it was incredible. But like I said, I give the pay-per-view a C. All the Survivor Series matches were pretty much terrible, except for 2 of them. Like I said, Team USA was okay, and Nation versus Legion of Doom and all that stuff, that one was a little bit better. But the only 2 things in here that were good to me were Mankind and Kane and Bret and Shawn. And Stone Cold again, it wasn't like I was shocked. I'm like, wait, that's it? But again, I understand why, because you want to protect him. You don't want to go too far. But other than that, that's it. So the next pay-per-view I'm gonna watch is D-Generation X in your house. So how my schedule typically works is I watch the Raw after the pay-per-view on Tuesdays or Thursdays, because I may be busy, and then Saturday and Sundays is when I watch the pay-per-views, right? So tomorrow I'm gonna watch the Raw after Survivor Series. Then next Tuesday, I'm going to watch the Raw before the next pay-per-view, DX, and then I'm going to watch DX. So about 2 weeks, you should get the next pay-per-view review. Again, I gave Survivor Series 97 a C. Was okay. Wasn't great. Wasn't horrible. Was just okay. Again, this video's gone about 25 minutes, but again, that's just because this is my first time reviewing this, and I just had to explain everything. So again, like I said, in about 2 weeks, you should see me again with my pay-per-view review for D-Generation X in your house. As you can see currently right now, I'm just chilling on the network, watching an old Stone Cold podcast with Vince and Steve, and they're talking about CM Punk right now. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Again, this is my first time, even though I know everything, what happens, this is my first time experiencing it. Just because you know something it's not the same thing of experiencing it. Like, for example, you could know, let's say you're going to go watch a movie, right? And you pretty much predict, or you read it online of what happens in the movie. Okay, that's great. You know what happens in the movie. But that is not the same thing as going to see the movie for yourself. So when you read, oh, in Avengers Endgame, oh, Tony Stark sacrifices himself and he's dead, that's like, oh man, that sucks. But then when you watch it, you're like, oh man, my heart hurts right now, bro. Like, you legit like want to cry. So it's two different things. Even though you know what's gonna happen, it's not the same thing as seeing it. I know everything about the screw job and everything pretty much about the Attitude Era, but I've never seen it with my eyes. So I said, hey, why not share it with you guys? Hopefully this gets more views, more subscriptions. I'm going to do another video maybe tomorrow to just explain more things and everything about the changes that are coming to the channel, because there are more changes coming. And that's pretty much about it. Again, I'm sorry for this being too long. I hate making long videos, but this one had to be long. So until next time, I will see you guys tomorrow. And if you're not done with that, I've just got 2 words for you guys. Peace out.